Hello everyone. In this video, let's discuss how to find the maximum depth of binary tree. Given the root of binary tree, return its maximum depth. A binary tree's maximum depth is the number of nodes along the longest path from the root node down to the farthest leaf node. Let's take example 1. So here the longest path from the root node to the farthest leaf node is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So both are 3. So the output is 3. They have mentioned clearly stating that farthest leaf node from the root node. So these two nodes are the leaf nodes which has the farthest path from the root node. Let's take second example. So here they have given the input value as 1, null, 2. So 1 is the root, left side is empty, right side is 2. So the longest path from the root to the farthest leaf node is 2. So the output is 2. Let's discuss the logic in detail. So here they have given a binary tree. What we have to do is we have to find the longest path from root node to the farthest leaf node. So here what we are going to do is we are going to go with recursion. We are going to traverse left subtree and right subtree. Okay, so the method name is public int max tree node root. So this is what they have given. Here what I am going to do is I am going to call a method. Okay, whatever the method is returning, that will be printed as my final answer. So the method I am going to give is int result equal to find height or depth attribute by passing the root, and I am considering 0 as the value. Whatever the value stored in result, that will be returned from this function. So I will give return result. So here I have called a method called find depth. So public find depth. Here I have passed two arguments, that is root and another one is depth. So I will give depth as 0 initially. So here what we have to do is if I found the root is equal to null, I have to return 0. If root is equal to null, there is no path at all. So I will return the value called 0. I cannot consider that as path. Okay. Now for left subtree, I have to call one recursive call. So int left is equal to find depth. So when I go for left subtree, I am going to go one level below. So I have to give root dot left comma depth plus 1. Okay. Similarly for right subtree, int right is equal to find depth root dot right comma depth plus 1. Fine. Now we have to find the longest path, right? For that what I am going to give is return 1 plus math.max left comma right out of left subtree and right subtree, which is the longest path, that should be considered and that should be added with 1 because we are considering root as one node, right? That is why we are giving plus 1. That's all. Okay. Now let me trace the code and I will show you. So here what are all the methods I will be calling, that I will be storing it in the stack. Okay, so let me write the recursive calls here. So first I will be calling find depth tree node root. So first I will be calling the method find depth. The root is 100 and the value I have passed for depth is 0. So this is the method I have called. Now check root is equal to null. No, root is not equal to null. So I will go here. I will call the left subtree. So now on the stack, I will be having find the depth, left subtree value is 200 plus 1. So here I will be calling the left subtree 200. I will be calling one more recursive call. Now I will be standing on the function called find depth 200 comma 1. Check whether root is equal to null. No, root is having the value for 200. So it is not equal to null. So I will go to the left recursive call. So when I go to the left recursive call, I will have the value called null. So I will be calling one more recursive call, that is find depth null comma 2. So now when I am standing on the function called find depth, the root value is null, depth value is 2. Check whether root is equal to null. Yes, root is equal to null. If root is equal to null, what is the value this function has to return? The value which is returned by this function will be 0. So it will return 0. Where it will return? To the place where I have called this recursive call. So this left subtree will return the value called 0. So this recursive call, the root is equal to null. So it has to return me the value called 0. to the place where I have called. So it will return the value 0 here. Now I am standing on the function called find depth 200. So in the find depth 200 method, left recursive call got over. I have done the left recursive call. Now I have to go to the right recursive call. So what is the argument I have to pass? Find depth null comma, here depth value was 1, 1 plus 1, 2. I am calling this recursive call. So when I am calling the method find depth null comma 2, here the root is equal to null. If the root is equal to null, what I have to do? This method will return the value called 0. Where will it return? That will return to the place of left subtree. Now currently I am standing on the find depth 200. On find depth 200, left to over, right also it has returned 0. So left recursive call over, right recursive call over for the method find depth of 200. So here left will have the value called 0, right will also have the value called 0. So now this method find depth of 200 has to return 1 plus, okay, max value of left and right. Left value is 0, right value is also 0. 0 comma 0, the maximum value is 0 plus 1, the value is 1. That will be returned to the left recursive call of this particular node, which means find 200 will return the value called 1 to the left subtree of this one. So for the find depth of 100, for the left recursive call, it will return the value called 1. Now where will I go? Now I am standing on the node called find depth 100. Currently I am standing on this node. In this node, left recursive call over, I have to call the right recursive call. So here what I have to give? Find depth 300 comma 0 plus 1, 1. So I will be going to this particular recursive call. Now when I am standing on here, what I have to do? I have to call the left recursive call. So left recursive call address is 600. So from this I will be calling the recursive call depth root dot left. Root is 300 dot left is 600. 600 comma depth plus 1. Here depth value is 1, 1 plus 1, 2. So currently I am standing on this particular node. From here what I have to do? I have to call the left recursive call. So left recursive call is null. I have to call a method called null. So find depth null comma 3. So now I am standing on this node. From here I am calling the left recursive call. So the method is having the value null comma 3. So check whether root is equal to null. Yes, root is equal to null. If root is equal to null, this method will return me a value called 0. Where will it return? To the left subtree of the node 600. For the node 600 to the left subtree, it will return the value called 0. Okay, it will return the value called 0. Now left recursive call got over. Now I have to go for right recursive call. So when I go for right recursive call, I have to call the recursive call with find depth. So the root value is null and depth value is 2 plus 1, 3. I will be calling the right recursive call. When I call the right recursive call, now the method will be called if root is equal to null, I will return 0. So the root is equal to null. So this method has to return me the value called 0. So it will return the value 0 to the right recursive call. It will return the value called 0 to the right recursive call. Now currently I am standing on the method called find depth 600 comma 0, which is this particular node. In this node, left recursive call over, right recursive call also over. So what I have to return? 1 plus maximum value of left and right. Left also 0, right also 0. 0 comma 0, the maximum value is 0. 0 plus 1, the value is 1. So this method find depth 600 comma 2. This method will return the value called 1 to the left subtree of the method with the root value 300. So this method will return the value 1 to the left subtree of the node 300. For the node 300, for the left subtree, it returns the value called 1. Done. From here, I have to go to the right recursive call. When I go to right recursive call, root dot right. Root is 300, dot right is 800. I will be calling the recursive call which is find depth. Root dot right value is 800, comma 1 plus 1, 2. Now I will be going to the method called this and the root value is 800. Now check whether the root is equal to null. No, root is not equal to null because root is having the value called 800. So from here I have to go to the left recursive call. So this recursive call I have to go, that is find depth null comma 3. Now check whether the root is equal to null. When I am standing on the method find depth null comma 3, root is equal to null. So I have to return the value called 0. Where will I return 0? To the left subtree of the node 800. For the left subtree of the node 800, I have to return the value called 0. So here I will have the value called 0. Now I have to go to the right subtree. So find the depth From the node 800, the right subtree value is null. So null, comma 3. So check root equal to null. Yes, root is equal to null. So this method will return me a value called 0. Where will it return? It will return to the right subtree. So it will return the value called 0 to this particular place. Now when I am standing on the node 800, left subtree is also 0, right subtree is also 0. So what I have to do? I have to return 1 plus max value of left and right. Left is 0, right is 0. 0 plus 1, the value is 1. That is, it will return 1 to the right subtree of the node 300. So this method will return the value called 1, where will return to the right subtree of the node 300. So it returns value 1 to the right subtree of the node 300. So when I am standing on the node 300, left subtree also over, right subtree also over. What should I do? Return 1 plus, okay, max value of left and right. 1 comma 1, the maximum value is 1, plus 1, the value is 2. So find the 300 comma 1 will return me a value called 2 to the right subtree of the node 100. It will return value 2 to the right subtree of the node 100. Now I am standing on the node called find the 100 comma 0. In this particular node, left subtree also over, right subtree also over. I have to find the maximal of left and right plus 1. So the maximal of left subtree and right subtree is 2 plus 1. The value is 3. So from this method find depth. 100 comma 0. This was the initial method which I have called. So from this method I have to return the value called 3. Where will it return? It will return the value 3 to this place, because this was the first function call which happened. So the value 3 will be stored in the variable result, and result will return the value called 3. This is the logic of the program. Now let's try to implement this as a program. Okay. So here what I am going to do, I am going to take a variable called result, and I am going to call a method find depth. So here I am going to pass two arguments, root and depth value. I am going to consider depth value as initially 0. Why am I considering 0 in the sense? If the binary is empty, there is no depth at all. So we have written the value 0. That is why we are considering 0 initially. Finally, I have written the result value. Now let me define the method find depth. Free node root comma depth value. Okay. So what is the base condition I have to give? The base condition which I am going to give here is, if the root is equal to null, what I have to do? I have to return 0, saying that there is no depth at all. If the root is not equal to null, I have to call two recursive calls. One is for the left subtree, another is for the right subtree. So int left is equal to find depth root dot left comma depth value has to be incremented by 1, because I am going to the next level, right? So depth plus 1. Similarly for the right subtree, find depth root dot right comma depth plus 1. Okay. So once after completing left recursive right recursive call, I have to return 1 plus, because of the root, I have to find the maximum value of left subtree and the right subtree. So left comma right. That's all. This is the logic of the program. Now let's run the code. As it passes the test cases, let's submit the code. As it passes all the test cases. That's all.